YouTube. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We are live on YouTube. We are live on YouTube. How's everyone doing today? How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode number 1271. That's right, episode number 1271 of Navigating the Modern World with Eli, the Walking with Purpose live edition. Live today, back at the SF Bay Trail. And today, we're going to be talking about the one thing that, the one major thing, one of the most major things that affects relationships currently and more. The one thing that affects relationships currently and more. We're going to get to that in just a few. ODN is in the house first. Dawn is on an important phone call with a friend of hers. She's helping out a friend right now. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to mention the friend's name or anything, but I'm going to, it ties into part of the topic here today. I'm going to be sharing something that happened with her friend today that is similar in nature as Dawn and I have experienced. Something with her friend and her friend's boyfriend that she's been together with for 10 years. And they have a child together. They're not married, but they've been together for 10 years. And it's very interesting because I think many relationships nowadays are facing this, and it has nothing to do with the couples not loving each other. It has to do with one thing that's affecting many relationships nowadays currently in this modern world. And when I say currently, I mean currently right now, last 6 to 12 months, maybe 18 months or so, right? Maybe 15 months or so, right? And many of you that know me probably can figure out where this is going to go, but it's going to go there and you're going to not want to miss it. I hope you've all had a great day. It's really nice to be back on the trail. It's around 66, 67 degrees with a little bit of a breeze. And I still believe I'm recovering from like a minor stomach flu. I feel a lot better. So I have my jacket on and only one layer underneath. I feel good. I feel fantastic today. How do you feel, broski, in the chat there? Can you hear me clearly and see me clearly? Let me know. Yeah, before we get into it, one, thank you, ODN, thank you. I want to let you folks all know that over the next few months, there are a lot of things. There's a lot of content I have planned. And there are a lot of things I actually want to do a live stream or a pre-recorded video or maybe a combination of both at this time to share with you folks some very interesting things that I've learned, I've found out that are relevant to what we discuss here at the GNA throughout both of our channels. This is GNA2, Genuine Live Personal Development, our live streaming channel, and then we have our main channel, links below in the description, towards the top of the description section. We have our main channel, GNA, Genuine Personal Development. It's our channel for primarily pre-recorded, uploaded content like our podcast that we do every week. The podcast I do with my lady, the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast, is on there. And other YouTube shorts and other things are on there as well. We have done live streams there. We may do some in the past, but that's why we have a separate live streaming channel to do most of them over here on this end. But there's a lot of content coming. And I am itching to release this information right now. It's good information that can help a lot of people, but there are many reasons why I cannot release that right now. I can say within the next few months, that's when you know, those videos or streams will be released. And yeah, lots of interesting, good stuff. So anyway, it's nice to be back on the trail. The weather hasn't been that great lately around here. And now it's finally starting to get to the point of where it's dry. And it's not cold, overly cold or anything like that. And you can tell, look at how green it is. I mean, you can't ask for anything more beautiful to walk on that's local to where I live. You really can't. And I'll tell you this, there are some interesting aspects that I may choose to talk about sometime this week from the studio regarding some community news around here. I'm not going to be talking about any of that today, and I may not even talk about it at all for a while. But I'm contemplating doing a stream or two from the studio later this coming week to address some interesting things that have been transpiring within the communities that participate surrounding our content here. Good evening, says Lewis. Hey, good evening. ODN says hi, Lewis. He's watching my ads in full. Thank you, Lewis. You've been doing that for years, and it is much appreciated. It is much appreciated. Yeah. Yeah, everything will all fall into place, ODN, just letting you know. Everything will all fall into place. You know, sometimes certain things take a little bit longer to fall into place. I've got a few people that are stopping to take some pictures. And now they're rolling. Yeah, some things take longer to fall into place, but eventually it'll be all good, right? And, you know, ODN, in the meantime, it's just about gathering. That's it, right? It's about gathering. No big deal. So, let's get right to it here today. So the one thing that affects relationships currently in this modern world that we all live in. I wanted to talk about this today because it's something that Don and I have been dealing with. And after what I saw happen today, you know, when one of Don's friends that lives a few hours away from us here in California, she texted Don and basically told my lady Dawn that she loves her man, but he's being very controlling lately. Dawn read that out to me, and I was like, hold up. That sounds familiar because I've been accused of being controlling too, right? And I'm starting to realize what's been going on in this modern world for the average, everyday individual and couple that are not poor but are not rich either, right? Are just trying to survive in this modern world, right? I immediately knew why Don's friend was telling my lady that I feel like my man is trying to control me. The very first thing I said to Dawn is, I bet this is about money. And Dawn said yes. I'm not going to get into more details than that, but on that aspect, but it's about money, right? And my girlfriend's, Dawn's friend, her boyfriend that she's lived with for a long time, they've been together 10 years. They've been living together probably 9 of those 10 years. He really loves his lady. They have a kid together, and he loves her. And he's trying to be a good protector and provider, right? And I'm thinking to myself, I was talking with Don, I said, okay, let's talk about this, because this is interesting. And you can help her, babe. You can call her and help her. And she said, yeah, I'll call her. And she's actually been on the phone. She's probably still on the phone with her right now, which is why she's not here. Dawn is on assignment right now. She's helping someone legitimately, right? Hi, ODN, says Lewis. So I said to Dawn, I think that your friend, I think your friend's boyfriend had a conversation with your friend and told her that, hey, money is tight right now. We need to start conserving more money, right? And right then and there, Don and I, we looked at each other, we're like, hey, sounds like exactly what we've been going through. I've been having those conversations with Don as well. Now, let me skip ahead for a second and I'll come back, okay? What is causing this problem? What is causing this problem? Not for the rich people, not for the wealthy or the rich people, right? But the average everyday person with an average everyday income, right, is struggling. Why? One word, affordability. One word, affordability, that has been massively affected by our current administration, led by Donald J. Trump, President Donald J. Trump, who had his hour and 47-minute long State of the Union address. I think it was the longest State of the Union address in the history. God. That guy is an AW. Let's just put it that way. I think you all can, attention W, right? You know what a W is, right? I'm trying to be, a little bit more kinder out here on YouTube, right? So, Donald Trump was saying that, hey, we're booming, the stock market is at a near all-time high. That's true. And the economy is doing fine, and that is true. It is true. He's not lying about that. But what he's not addressing is affordability. He's not addressing the issues that are affecting even middle class people from being able to afford necessary things like health insurance, food at the grocery store. Yeah, some prices have gone down, like eggs, but the cost of beef has gone up. The cost of many other things at the grocery store have gone up. Gas has gone down a little bit and it's kind of stabilized. It's heading a little bit back up here in the Bay Area, but it's still fairly reasonably priced. So that we'll leave gas as affordable, right? For right now. I'm in California. I know about sky high gas prices. We've had gas prices hit over $6 a gallon here. Now they're like between $4 and $4.50. We consider that to be affordable because we're used to paying $5+ or $6+. Still, it's a lot more than what many people are paying in other parts of the country. Some people, like Trump, I believe, said are below $2 a gallon. That'd be nice. Or even below $3 a gallon, or $3.50 would be nice. Anyway, actually, I think we ended up getting, some gas stations ended up getting down to $3.99 or $3.89, even here in California for a little bit, but everything's back over $4 now, $4 to $4.50 a gallon for regular unleaded, right? So, food has gone up. Healthcare has gone up, right? Another thing that's gone up, utilities have gone up. The cost of natural gas and electricity to heat your home and to power your home, right, has gone up. The prices of buying new cars have gone up, right? Affordability is the problem. The economy can be booming. Also, another thing that people aren't realizing, Chris Cuomo's talked about this many times on News Nation. I understand it because I am an entrepreneur. I've been one for a while, for over 15 years. Is small to medium-sized businesses are being affected the most. By what? By Trump's tariffs. Trump's tariffs that were recently found to violate the law by his own Supreme Court, which is primarily people he put in there, right? I believe it was a 6-3 loss for Trump. The Supreme Court ruled that Trump's tariffs are illegal, and they were. And then Trump talks about it like a big baby at the State of the Union address and says he'll find a different way to push it through outside of the law or whatever. That's not going to happen. He got shut down by the Supreme Court. That's the end of the story. End of story right there, right? But all those tariffs caused a lot of uncertainty amongst all Americans, including people that support Donald Trump, right? So now, the issue is affordability. Here in California, it's worse because our prices are much higher than everyone else's compared to the rest of the country. There are a few other areas that come close, like maybe New York and Boston, a few other major metropolitan areas. But here in California, it's like a whole new world. That's why California has the number 4 largest economy in the world on its own as a state, even bigger than Japan's economy. So, affordability here, good luck trying to be able to afford to buy a home. You can't afford to buy, if you have dual income making $200,000 a year times 2, $400K a year, you still probably can't afford a home because all the homes out here are 1 to 1.2 million minimum to 1.5 million minimum. And interest rates are no longer at 2% like, what my family has locked in. I believe they're around 6% now. And then you got to put 20% down, typically, right? People can't afford to buy a house. So what do? They rent. And the cost of rent started increasing massively here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Probably 15 years ago. 10 to 15, so 15 to 20 years ago. Rent is very expensive. So what have people done? I'm using California as an example. They've moved east, right? More and more people moved east because their rent was cheaper to get away from the Bay Area. Then they would commute to the Bay Area for work, right? But now, because more and more people have moved east, the demand is higher. The rent is increasing in those areas too, including where my girlfriend Dawn's friend that I've been talking about and her boyfriend live. Now, I don't know the full story, but Dawn was telling me that there's an issue with the landlord and they may have to move. And I haven't found, I'll learn more later and maybe I'll do another show on it. I'm not going to mention extreme specifics just for example purposes, but what I'm assuming is going on is the rent is being increased where they live. And this woman, very nice lady, I've met her before, and her man, very nice man. Right? They're good people, right? She's been working, odd jobs here and there, and her man has a very stable and steady job with one of the major delivering companies. He drives for one of them. I'm not going to mention which one. I've learned to not give specifics here for certain reasons, right? So he does well, but even though he does well, with the cost of things going up and things not being as affordable as they used to be, your money gets stretched more thin, right? And she was working jobs here and there. She has to take care of the kid or find someone to babysit her kid. So, she was working some, jobs here and there. And then before I ended up leaving the house to come out on the walk, she was on the phone. Dawn was on the phone with this lady. And I heard some of it because it was on speaker. And Dawn knows we're helping her together and all this and that, right? It smells like sea salt. It actually smells pretty fresh out here, I'll tell you that. I really, really love this trail. She was telling Dawn, she goes, I'm not really mad at my man. I'm not really mad at him. I'm just worried. And I don't want to have it all fall on him. I don't want everything to fall on him, including the finances. I look at Dawn, I'm like, sound familiar? Dawn's felt the same way, right? Now, there are different reasons in a relationship why one couple works or is the breadwinner and the other one either doesn't work for disability reasons or otherwise, or it's not feasible for them to work taking care of a kid or other things, right? So I can understand where Dawn's friend feels like she's not contributing enough, feels like she's not doing enough, probably feels like she doesn't have a purpose. And she does have a purpose, and so does Dawn. And just because neither one of them are working right now doesn't mean that they don't have a purpose. This is the one thing that any man in this situation needs to sit down and have a conversation with their lady in a respectful way, in an easygoing way, in a loving and nurturing way. I've had that conversation with Dawn many times regarding money, regarding affordability. Dawn wants to do things. We do things when we can, when they're in the budget. And once the budget becomes better, we're going to do more of those things. I've kept on telling her that. Because initially, Dawn was saying the same thing. You're trying to control me, this and that. When Dawn heard her friend today tell her the same thing regarding her man, that she feels her man's trying to control her, Dawn started laughing. And I was there. I was laughing with her. It's not about control. A good man is going to have the thought process of protecting and providing for their family. That includes their girlfriend, wife-to-be, which Dawn's my wife-to-be, or anyone else that you care for. You're gonna protect for them, and you're gonna protect them as best you can, especially when they're family, and Dawn is family. And you're gonna do whatever you can to provide for them. Right? Now, in this modern world, both men and women are working. Nothing wrong with that. But like I said, in some cases, every case is unique between couples. It may only be feasible that one of the couples works and the other stays home to take care of kids. Or maybe the other person in the relationship is dealing with some disabilities and recovering from, other aspects in life they've dealt with, emotionally, etc., mentally, emotionally, etc. That doesn't mean they're broken. That doesn't mean they're useless. They're not. But a lot of times, nowadays, and guys, hear me out. A lot of times nowadays, women will come out and say they feel useless or they feel like they have no purpose if they're not working and making good money. Even if they respect their man and their man is the breadwinner, if they see their man struggling to provide, they feel like they have to be the ones to directly and try and fix it. And that's not what men want that care about their ladies. Here's what men want. We want support and understanding. We want you to also understand that we love you and accept you for who you are. And just because you're not currently working or you're dealing with something else doesn't make you useless. Okay? And as a man, I've had to sit down many times with Dawn and try to have a conversation with her regarding affordability and the cost of everything going up and what our budget is, and having to redo our budget and omit certain things temporarily because other more important things that have, increased in price that we need as necessities are costing more. So we have to reduce some of the other luxuries, such as going out as often. Oh yeah, with the three, sorry, yeah, with the 3.99 super chat. Thank you. We appreciate your maturity. Well, thank you. Thank you, ODN. I appreciate that. I hearted your super chat and the thumbs up. Today's the last day of the month for super chats that will be paid out in March, the third week of March. So thank you for that, ODN. Thank you so much for your super chat. And thank you for the kind words about maturity. So you have to have the conversation with your lady and make her aware that, hey, if based on what we have coming in right now and based on the increased cost of necessities like natural gas, electricity, water, sewer, right? The cost of groceries, the cost of healthcare insurance, the cost of many things that are necessities. We need those things no matter how much they cost. And if our budget only has so much, we have to cut other things temporarily that aren't necessities until the prices come back down to reality or until we can make some more money, right? Trying to explain that to even the most decent, down-to-earth, normal woman is not easy, because what puts a woman at ease is certainty of the future. The moment that women feel any lack of certainty regarding their partner, whether it's emotional investment, physical investment, financials and all that, the moment women feel a moment of uncertainty about the future because of that, that's the moment where they start to get very emotional and start to worry and start to say things to their friends like, oh, my man is trying to control me. No, whenever a woman tells her man or another woman friend that her man is controlling her, it's typically over one thing: money and uncertainty about the financial future. That's what it boils down to. The majority of issues and relationships are about money and affordability. The number one issue we have in the United States nowadays that our President Donald J. Trump refuses to address, he says he's going to get to it, but he's more focused on bombing people and more focused on ICE raids, more focused on spending all that money, right, on bombing people and massive ICE raids that are being protested because Donald Trump has the right idea about immigration, just the wrong execution. The wrong execution also includes innocent people that are protesting peacefully are being shot and killed by these ICE agents, right? So Donald J. Trump is more focused on spending money there instead of fixing the healthcare issue. That is extremely, what's more important than health? You know, when President Joe Biden first took office, he tackled on the pandemic. Trump didn't care about it. Trump was pissed off, saying there was widespread voter fraud, right? While we had this big global pandemic and people were dying, and we needed to find a way to get vaccines out to save people. And that's what Biden did. Once he got elected, even before January 20th of 2021, when he got into into office, he was already tackling the pandemic issue with Vice President Harris at that time. The number one issue we have right now in the U.S. is affordability. And it's 100% Donald Trump's fault because he's choosing to either not address it or slowly address it, right? And that's affecting myself and Don. That's affecting Don's friend and her man. There's no rent control in most places, right? Wages are not going up according to, affordability when it comes to housing, especially here in California. And I'm pretty sure it's probably very similar across the country. I mean, the unemployment rate is down, and all that people are working, but they're simply not making enough money to be able to afford the increased prices of essentials like healthcare and groceries. And over the last year or two, at least here in California, and probably nationwide, but I only know here in California because I'm licensed here to sell insurance in California. I keep up with it. I don't sell at this time, and I probably will never sell again. You never know. I'm still licensed, so I renew my licenses every 2 years. I just renewed them at the end of this year. So I'm good until 2028, January of 2028. Auto insurance rates went up 20%. Homeowners insurance rates went up 20%. Insurance is something, like I'll just give you an example where Don and I live. We share the house with our mother. It's a big home. It's a 3-story home. I sold my parents that policy when I first started selling insurance. I won't say what carrier was a good carrier. That policy, when I first sold it to them, for that big house, it was like, I think it was like $1,800 a year. Not bad, because that home back then was already worth well over $1 million, like 1.5 to 1.8 million. It's doubled in value since then. But that's not what the cost of insurance is based off of. It's based off of the replacement cost, not the value of your land. It's based on the replacement cost of the materials and the labor to do it. But even then, the insurance ended up going up. And last year it was up to I think it was almost $6,000 a year. Holy shit. Now we ended up switching it to a different carrier, and we lowered it a little bit, played a little bit around with the deductible and all that. But things are going up. Everyday things that are essentials that we need are going up. And while people are employed and the unemployment rate is low, I think it's 4.3% or something like that, wages are not keeping up with increased prices. Why do we have a strong economy? Because profits are higher. People are spending more money. Where the problem is, people are not able to save money for a rainy day. People are digging into retirement plans. They're digging into savings accounts that they created for a rainy day, and they're depleting that money fast because nothing's being done to address this. And that's what's causing issues. And my advice My advice to anyone in a relationship, okay? Sit down and have a conversation with your partner. Okay? Sit down and have a sit down and have a conversation with your partner. And get on the same page. And for the ladies out there that are in a relationship with a man, because we have different relationships nowadays. I'm only going to talk about heterosexual relationships, but they can apply to any relationship, okay? To the ladies out there, if you're with a man that's better at handling finances than you are, there are some ladies that are very good at that. They're better than the men. But sometimes the man is better at handling the finances, right? Ladies, if your man is better at handling finances and keeping the budget together and doing things in the right way to help keep a roof over your head and food in your stomach and all that, all the essentials, let him handle that. Don lets me handle all that. And at the same time, be understanding that times right now are very tough. Things are not as affordable as they have been. And that means we've got to pick and choose certain things that we would normally do as an extracurricular activity. We got to choose certain things and eliminate them temporarily. That doesn't mean you don't go out on a date anymore. You got to get out of the house and do things. But instead of going on 4 or 5 dates a month, go on 1 or 2, and then, find other things to do locally. Take a walk around your area with your partner. You can get out of the house for a bit. We all have to do what we have to do to survive through an economy like this. And again, the economy of the U.S. is fantastic. But that's because all the companies are doing great. All the prices have gone up. They're making more profit. People still have to eat. People still have to find ways to buy all those items, right? And why are those costs up? Because of the Trump tariffs that are now being reversed. So are we all going to get refunds for the increase in what we've spent on groceries and other things that went up for a while because of tariffs that have now been deemed illegal by the Supreme Court? I bet not. I bet companies probably won't even lower their prices. I mean, one company actually lowered their prices, Frito-Lay, that makes the Lay's brand of chips. They did a great thing. Their mid-sized bag of chips you can get like at a convenience store or a gas station supermarket store, like a little mini mart. They were $5.99 for that mid-sized bag. They're now like $4.29, I believe. They lowered the prices because consumers were complaining they couldn't afford it. So they listened. And they lowered the price. And most retailers I've seen have lowered that price. Don and I, we love Lay's. We also like the Munchos that are made by Frito-Lay's. They're only $2.99 a bag, but they're hard to find. And when I find those, I buy a bunch of bags and store them away because they're good for like 3 or 4 months. Also, during these times, you got to look for deals. You got to look for deals on stuff. And if you can stock up on even food that's non-perishable for a good price, stock up on it, right? If you're going to go and get your meat, go to like a Costco where you're still going to get somewhat of a reasonable price. Yes, even their prices have gone up, but you still get more bang for your buck like at a Costco. And then get a deep freezer like Don and I have, and you can freeze beef for up to 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. What you want to do first, though, is you want to cut it in chunks and then use some Ziploc bags, seal it, and freeze it. Ziploc freezer bags, right? And that's the way you get more bang for your buck. You gotta be resourceful. You gotta use your resources. ODN, thank you again for your $3.99 super chat. I really appreciate it. So you got to sit down and talk with your lady, and have your lady talk with you and talk things out, and tell your lady, because ladies are going to get emotional. Again, when ladies feel uncertainty in their relationship, in any aspect, including financial uncertainty, women start to panic sometimes because they're emotional beings, and men are emotional beings too. It's just women process their emotions differently than how men are supposed to normally process our emotions. Women will respond to everything emotionally first, and then they may reason with logic later. My lady's friend that she's probably still on the phone with, which is why she's not here, no problem, she's taking care of business, was getting really emotional through a text. And then when Dawn started talking with her, she started to sound more reasonable. Dawn put the she had her friend had to step away for a second before I came out here to the trail. Dawn muted and said, "Am I doing good?" I said, "You're doing great. Why are you even questioning yourself? You don't have to ask me that. You know exactly how to handle this." I said, You've been living this yourself. There's no one better than you to do this." I'm proud of her. Because, hey, I've made mistakes. Don has made mistakes, right? We've learned from our mistakes. And if we can make a quick phone call. I told Don earlier today, you should call her. And I said, this is what the G&A is all about. This is what we do here. It doesn't always have to be about making money. It doesn't. Sometimes we're going to help people out of the kindness of our hearts, right? It's not about the money, it's about the principle of the matter. What kind of emoji is that, ODN? I'm not quite sure. Type it out, tell me, man. I'm having a hard time seeing it because it's so small on the phones here, you know what I mean? Can you still hear me okay, though? Put one in the chat if you can hear me clearly and see me clearly. We're at 48 minutes. Boston Blue is back tonight. Don and I saw Law and Order SVU last night on Peacock the day after it's released on NBC. And Boston Blue, the spin-off of Blue Bloods on CBS, was released last night. Tonight's on Paramount Plus. We do have DirecTV with all the networks and all that, and we could record it on the DVR, but we just wait till the next day. It's just much easier to launch Paramount Plus in this case, and run it there without commercials. ODN says 1, Lewis says 1. Thank you so much. We all make mistakes. We're not perfect. No one is perfect. You're right. You're absolutely right. Lewis, you're absolutely right. Starting to get a little bit dark. By the time I get to the end of the trail, it's probably going to start to get really dark. Got another maybe half mile to go or so. It's a beautiful night here in Redwood City, California. But yeah, you got to have the conversation with your lady. And you have to be understanding of her emotion and say, babe, listen, I love you. Nothing means more to me than you, your family, and my family. None of us are perfect, me included. Is that Wyoming? Is that you, the 307 lady? What is that channel called? Wyoming. Self-awareness. Wyoming, no self-awareness. Let me, hold on, give me a second. All right, we should be back live. Can you put one in the chat if you can hear me and see me clearly? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me and see me clearly. I want to make sure that we're back and we're okay. Can you folks hear me and see me? Just let me know, please. Put a 1 in the chat. Can you hear me? Oh, thank you, Odan. Thank you. Yeah, so, yeah, Wyoming, no purpose. Oh, sorry, Wyoming, no self-awareness. Why did you name your channel name that? I'm just curious. Can you please answer that? Thank you, Lewis, for the 1. ODN, thank you again for the 1. All right, just wondering. Anyway, so you got to have a conversation with your lady. You need to approach her in a respectful way. You need to be understanding to her feelings, wants, and needs. You need to be understanding that she may come out and say, I feel useless. I feel like I have no purpose. It's funny because that's what you know, Dawn's friend told her on the phone. I heard it while I was still home. And Dawn said the same thing. And it's like, that's how all women are feeling nowadays. Women want to feel like they're just as important as men. And women have always been just as important as men in my book and in many people's books. But according to the days of traditionalism, there were some men out there that saw themselves as a superior person in their relationship because without the man, the woman couldn't survive. And women want to feel independent nowadays. They don't want to be necessarily independent, not having someone, but they want to feel like they're worthy and they're contributing and they're doing their part. And because society's changed from women being the homemakers and men working to both, you know, both people in the relationship are typically working nowadays because you really can't afford it otherwise, unless one of you is just making such a shit ton of money that it doesn't matter. And in most cases, it's not like that. I am watching another ad in full. Oh. When I went offline, it must have come back with another ad because I don't have any mid-rolls turned on for the live streams. I mean, I could set it to have ads pop in like every 10 minutes. I did that one time. It got really annoying. For people that don't have YouTube Premium, you got to be very careful. And I would probably suggest not doing mid-roll ads while live. You are back. Good. Well, I was asking you, are you the same Wyoming, the 307 person? And your channel name is at Wyoming No Self-Awareness. Why would you name your channel that? Can you please answer that, because I'm just curious to know. I didn't ask you if you are in the 307. I asked you, are you the same lady that used to run a channel named at Wyoming 307? Yeah, I had to leave the chat for a minute and come back. Thank you, Tia. And come back in because my TV was acting stupid. Oh, that happens sometimes, Lewis. Not a big deal. I didn't see you. Have you been trying to chat, Tia, or have you just been here and just watching? I saw you moderated that. That's fine. As a team, a man and a woman as a team should work together and figure things out and what works to pay the bills, what works to keep every aspect of the relationship flowing smoothly. Hey, babe, there she is. Respectfully, maturely, and professionally, Dawn is in the house. I'm assuming there's going to be no quote tonight, right, babe? It's okay, no big deal. What a beautiful night. What a beautiful night. So you want to have that conversation with your lady and make her feel important and tell her how important she is. Okay, no matter what the situation is, even if you as the man are the breadwinner and for some reason maybe your lady's not working, or maybe she's working some other jobs that don't pay as much as you, and maybe she's feeling like she's not doing as much and she's feeling like she lacks purpose, that is not true. That is not true. The only time anyone, male or female, lacks purpose is if you keep kicking yourself down saying that you have no purpose. Because I'm telling you, even people that aren't working have a purpose. They're doing something else. And they're not even realizing the other great things they're doing to help the other person in the relationship. That is, taking on the load of the finances at this time, right? You got to do what works for you as a couple. The one thing you don't want to do is not address, as a man, when your lady is feeling like she has no purpose, or she's feeling like you're trying to control her and stuff. It's not that you're trying to control her. It's what you're trying to do is prevent the ship from sinking. See, what us men do, and see, Dawn even said this today. Like, I'm listening to Dawn, talking to her while I'm getting ready, talking to her friend. And Dawn was saying, all your man's trying to do is prevent the ship from sinking. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, I should retire and make Dawn the president of the GNA. I should just retire and give it all to her. You folks don't need me anymore. I've done my part. I've got a great group of people that know exactly what the message and the mission is, right? But am I resigning? No, hell no. I got a long way to go. I'm hearing they want to probably raise the age of retirement to 68 to take a little load off the Social Security burden. So in that case, let's see, I'm 52. Normally I'd be retiring in 13 years. It's going to be what? Now it's going to be, instead of 13 years, it's going to be 14, 15, or 16 years, right? No quote tonight, says Don. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Are you going to still be here, babe, or are you going to do something right now? Or were you just saying that before we wrap this up? I'm going to wrap this up fairly quickly after I get off the trail. Oh, yeah, it's just saying it. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I was sharing. I didn't mention your friend's name or anything, but I was sharing a little bit of the story on how it compares to what you and I have experienced. All right, we've talked about it publicly before. I basically, shared what's really going on, and a lot of it has to do with affordability and the way our current administration is not really focused on affordability. They've been focused on tariffs, which increase prices and make things less affordable, which hurts small and medium-sized business owners because things cost more and it's not as feasible or as profitable to run a small or medium-sized business, right? Healthcare costs, other insurance costs, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, health insurance, they've all gone up. Utilities, gas, natural gas, electricity, water, sewer, etc. have all gone up. And we're not able to stretch our money as far as we used to. We're not. Our money doesn't go as far as it used to. And wages aren't increasing either. So it creates uncertainty, babe, in the relationship. And I was saying, whenever any woman feels any level of uncertainty in their relationship with their man, financially, emotionally, physically, or otherwise, that's when women start to worry. They start to panic because women want certainty, right? Women want certainty. Well, thank you for stopping by at Krama Karma. I don't know. Can somebody check if Krama Karma is a real channel or are they a sock? I mean, I'm not accusing you of anything, but I appreciate your opinions, and I don't know what people's intentions are or not. Sometimes people want to write things that appear to be nice, trying to get me to talk about it, just trying to. Oh, that's cool. Then I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words. Real account. Thank you. Well, Krama Karma. Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for that. I just do what I do. Dawn does what she does. We do what we do over here. And we've just learned to handle things as best as possible, and other things will be handled in the right forum down the road. We've got court coming up. I'm sure you know that. Another court case, the federal copyright case will be filed soon. Um, you know, I understand you love course. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do. I'm just glad I was able to make it to the trail today. A nice light breeze. It's a beautiful night out here. I can't complain. I really can't. It's a beautiful night. Let me turn on the front light here. Got the front light on. See the difference there? Yeah. Beautiful. See, we turn off the light. Look at the difference there. All on our phones, huh? Anyway, I'll turn it off because the beauty of the night speaks for itself, right? Let's start getting your final questions, comments, and concerns in the chat. We're going to be going off the air in just a few minutes. Gonna go home and have some nice dinner with my lady. Spend some time with her and the dogs. Watching Boston Blue on Paramount Plus. Last night was on CBS. Today is on Paramount Plus. Okay. Well, now at this point, that's the end of that. And I'm sure the rest of the moderators agree. Tia with the $50 super chat on the last day of the month. Oh my. Let me heart that, Tia. Wow. And being at the trail is a nice change. So calming. Thank you, Eli, and all the GNA executives. Tia, thank you for the $50 super chat. I don't know what to say anymore. We have a lot of respect. Let me cut across this way. Somebody was coming there and they were going to turn around, so I cut across a different way. I did some trailblazing. Yeah, Tia, thank you so much. Again, whenever you donate, I always say, my God bless to your husband, Ray, who's in a better place. And I thank you both because I know you two were both, and you still are, a great team. And I'm sure that his spirit for you and the rest of us will always live forever. And we appreciate it. We appreciate it. The money helps, I'm not going to lie, but more so, we appreciate who you are. We appreciate who ODN is. We appreciate who Lewis is and other people. Thank you again, Tia, for your $50 super chat. Being at the trail is a nice change. So calming. Thank you, Eli, and all the G&A executives. Yeah, I got to start coming back to the trail now that the weather is starting to get a little better. The weather was just not that great, Tia, over the last few weeks, and we got some really good rain. I'm going to come over here for a few to the beautiful marina. It's a beautiful night, isn't it? I can't complain. Got some people on the boat over there. Looks like they're doing a Saturday night party on the boat. Wonderful. Tomorrow, Don and I will be recording episode number 50 of the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast. Share more with you on the next walk, more than likely tomorrow evening. Allergies are a pain in the butt right now. Yeah, that's why I take Allerfex from Costco, which is basically made by Allegra. I believe it says compared to Allegra on there. I believe Allegra makes it for Costco, and I take that every day, Lewis. 24-hour, non-drowsy antihistamine, and it does make a huge difference, especially when I come out here on the trail. You know, there's a lot of, everything, a lot of just pollen and everything. It does help. Every now and then you'll get a sneeze, but do you take allergy medication? Or do you take allergy pills, Lewis? Grass usually kicks my ass. Yeah, grass can affect me too. Especially fresh cut grass, Lewis, that's the worst. No, I totally hear you. Take some Allegra, or if you have a Costco membership, get Allerfex and take it daily. I used to, but none of them works for me except for Allegra, but it makes me have nosebleeds. Allegra makes you have nosebleeds. That's a very, very bizarre side effect, Lewis. Allegra makes you have nosebleeds. I basically use the Costco version of Allegra. It's called Allerfex. It's basically Allegra with the Kirkland label on it, and it's much cheaper. It's like $35.99 for 180 tablets instead of paying $35.99 for like 70 to 90 tablets like on Amazon. So you get like twice the quantity for the same price by going to Costco. Yes, I didn't know that until I read the label. That's one of the side effects. Oh, I didn't know that. I don't get nosebleeds. So I'm fortunate. I'll tell you, man, I couldn't. I don't know what I would do without Allegra or the Kirkland Allerfex version of it. Another thing you could use is the steroidal one. There's also Allerflow made by Costco, and I believe it's made by Flonase. Costco Kirkland label calls it Allerflow, but I believe it's made by the same company that makes Flonase. And the Allerflow is much, much cheaper than the brand name of Flonase. Now, Dawn is fortunate. She was prescribed basically a prescription version of Flonase, and it costs like $3 a piece at the contracted insurance rate. So she gets it for $3. That is not bad for a bottle of the prescription version of Flonase, which I think is pretty much close to the same thing. It might be just a little bit stronger. But yeah, if you use like one, can you use the ones that spray in your nose, Lewis? I haven't had to use Allerflow or Flonase lately because the once per day tablet of Allerfix Allegra has worked perfectly. But there are times where I've had to use both, and it's okay to use both if you have to. Yeah, but the Flonase works great for me. But my doctor is like, hell no. Is it about side effects, Lewis, or? It is a steroid, it is. Yeah, well, you can take it. You can take it once per day safely, unless you have a side effect where your doctor strongly suggests against it or says don't do it or it'll really affect your health. But for most people, this is just normal stuff. Are you saying that when I start taking it, that's why I did 2 sprays in each nostril once daily and it worked? Yeah, that's what's supposed to do. Yeah, you can do like 2 in each nostril. Is your doctor afraid of losing you as a patient? Or I mean, I'm not quite sure what you're saying there. If it works and has no side effects, I mean, why would it be a problem? I don't know. One more time around. One more time around, and then we're done. Good question. I don't know. The last time I had a new doctor, I did ask about it, and I told her that I took Flonase and it worked great, and she said, don't give that to my patients. Have you tried honey? I don't know what kind of doctors that you have in your medical facility, Lewis, and I'm not trying to be critical here, but we've got some of the best doctors here in the San Francisco Bay Area at a facility that typically only hires Stanford doctors. And they've had no problem prescribing Flonase. Even there's a prescription version of it too. And no problem with allergy medication. I really don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. Every doctor is different. But, oh yeah, I understand what you're saying. Most of them that I have seen, well, it doesn't have to do with ethnicity. I mean, there are different cultural doctors, and even some of those doctors in that culture are at our medical facility too, and they have no problem with Flonase and stuff. I think it has to do with the individual person. I think it has to do with the individual doctor and medical facility, and if it's a private practice or if it's an actual like medical facility that's run as a nonprofit organization. It all depends. Yeah, Medicaid, yeah. This year, basically Medicaid, which I believe is comparable here, it's called Medi-Cal. They changed up a lot of things, especially when it comes to mental health services. A lot of the mental health services were cut out. But I get it. You gotta whatever insurance that is affordable and you qualify for, you gotta do what you gotta do. You're dealing with a Medicaid issue. Yeah, you're dealing with a Medicaid issue there. Medicaid limitations, and you have to go to doctors that are in the network that take Medicaid, right? I get it. All right, folks. 81 minutes, almost 82 minutes. We're at 100. Sorry, we're at an hour and 21, about to turn to an hour and 22 minutes. Thank you again, Tia, for your $50 super chat, and ODN for your $3.99 super chat. Got a lot of love for you all. Have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other. See you all tomorrow. Good night.